Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here. Welcome to another bit of a precious metal ramble and also a bit of coin news, I reckon, because we've done some journalistic work this week. It's been very interesting to follow some of the stories around the 2025 sovereign and then subsequently perhaps 2026 and beyond, where there has been some published misinformation about potentially moving to pure gold for sovereigns. That's a big deal. So I've been following this story quite closely, and we've managed to get some clarification on this subject from the Royal Mint in the form of some official statements, which were a little bit ambiguous to begin with, but then were followed up with good news that the sovereign won't be changing from 22 karat gold. And as you can see there, as there are no plans to divert from this, fantastic, great, brilliant, we have sorted out. But it doesn't change the fact that there was some fake news that hit the world of coins about this from a German website that has now subsequently retracted the article that it wrote about that, subsequently from, I think, conversations that we'd had with the Royal Mint, which is great. So we've kind of combated some of this false information, this misinformation that's out there about this, and to a degree, we've set the record straight with statements from the Royal Mint, which is great. So hopefully we can preserve that history and tradition. Now, I've put up a few community posts on my YouTube channel about this situation as it was evolving. The first after this statement, which was a little bit ambiguous in many ways because it does suggest that they are researching other ways to go to 999 gold. So it was definitely unsure where things were going to be. And I personally don't think that would be a good idea. There are arguments for both sides, and I'm not going to ignore the fact that there are benefits for some people to have gold sovereigns be made out of pure gold rather than 22 karat. But from my perspective, history is really important when it comes to these kind of things. Now, I can't remember off the top of my head because there's hundreds of comments in a Silver Forum thread about this whole subject. I can't remember who exactly said it, so I do apologise to this person, but somebody put it perfectly, to coin a phrase, if you will, which was that the Royal Mint is, in its current form, a custodian of our coinage and the history of our coinage. And to have such a fundamental shift of the sovereign, which has history back 500 years in its original form. There was a period of history where it wasn't made, but then from 1817 to date, they've been the staple coin in coin collecting, coin history, a world-renowned standard. And to change that would be pretty monumental, and it would annoy a lot of people. It would probably please a lot of people too, but I think that the history and tradition and being a custodian of that history and tradition is really, really important. So it's definitely worth, I think, us talking about and at least raising the subject again, so that maybe if in the near or far future somebody at the Royal Mint maybe thinks the time is right for a 999 gold sovereign, perhaps that wouldn't be the case. So it all started from this fake news article. I say fake news, this article that was written, which has subsequently proven to be false and to be misleading in many ways. And I think it's an important time to remind us that we are in a crazy period of human history where it is so difficult to find what is right and what is real on the internet. The internet has revolutionized the world. It has changed every single thing. I remember when I was very young and the internet didn't exist and life was a lot simpler and a lot easier. There were things that were harder, and the internet's certainly good for a lot of things. I wouldn't be doing the job that I'm doing now without it. But at the same time, I'm just an old man shouting at clouds sometimes because the internet is full of misinformation. It's full of fear and just stupidness. And this article brought in a lot of people thinking the same thing. And it reads very well. Like, it's very well put together. There's some really good arguments in there as to why perhaps the Royal Mint might be going down this road. But for whatever reason, it wasn't properly done. I think the research wasn't done properly on it before it was written, and it stems from a sort of unambiguous, or ambiguous, I should say, communication from the Royal Mint about their sovereigns, which in many ways I don't think a lot of people really took seriously, that they could go to 4/9 gold because of this huge tradition and history. But the fact that some people maybe thought that, I think, is a little bit telling on some of the potential future directions that the Royal Mint might take. So it is interesting. So the Royal Mint statement was a full sovereign collection for 2025 includes commemorative bullion and historic ranges. From 2026, all gold sovereigns will return to being crafted from yellow gold. They didn't say there. They really maybe should have said yellow 22 karat gold to avoid any potential worries about this, but it wasn't. And to be honest, 99% of people would read that and think, well, it's just going to be yellow 22 karat gold, fine. But there was a lot of people, I say a lot of people, not necessarily percentage-wise, but they're in a big world, a lot of people in the world thought that that meant pure gold. And then this article was written about it and shared through a lot of social media outlets. And when I saw it, I was a little bit worried, a little bit concerned. And it did sound like something the Royal Mint would do. And I heard a few other rumours on the grapevine. So I'll fully hold up my hands. You know, I sort of fell down a little bit of the rabbit hole thinking this was definitely the case. This was definitely something that you could see the Royal Mint doing. And to be fair, I can see the Royal Mint doing it. They've introduced a silver sovereign, which is really kind of selling out the one and only good piece of branding and history and tradition that the Royal Mint have left, the sovereign, to commercialise it into a silver sovereign at absurd prices. And by the way, this one with the privy price, it's a privy price, privy mark is going to be priced at 130 quid or something like that, 125 pounds for 8 grams of gold, of 8 grams of silver. Yeah, go on, sling your hook on that. But anyway, that's a topic for another time. The point here is that I even sort of went down that rabbit hole a little bit, but I felt that there was needing to be more clarification before a video like this would be made where I'd go, the Royal Mint are changing the sovereign to gold. And so I reached out to the press office. I had a lot of communications with the press office sort of last year, basically, when we were talking all about the overly priced crap that the Royal Mint were slinging through the historic ranges and how they felt it was fair when it really wasn't, in my opinion. But I have a good relationship with the press officer there, and that's really nice that that relationship still exists, because credit where credit's due, the Royal Mint, well, first of all, the Royal Mint are not very good at communications. They never have been. But there are people within the Royal Mint who are really good at their jobs. And this is somebody who should be applauded. We can't publicly applaud them, but we can applaud them for their absolute incredible fast turnaround and clarification work on this situation. So well done to them. And I reached out to them and said, look, this is an article that is circulating. There is a lot of rumour about this. If there's any way we can get a bit of a confirmation or a statement about what is going on, that would be incredible. And so the first one that we came back with and had was this one, which on its sort of base merits confirms that it wouldn't be changing. But at the same time, the last one here, however, we are undergoing strict testing processes for next year's offering and will confer further details in due course. That sounds to me like they are at least researching the potential for it to happen, which was concerning for a lot of people. And so that's something that we as in the Backyard Bullion mindset journalist wanted to push to say, look, this is not a great idea, in my opinion. Some people think it's good, and that's fine, that's their opinion, but I didn't think it was good, and a lot of other people didn't think it was good either. And then there was a few other interesting ones which I found shared through social media about the fact that a sovereign is defined in the Coin Act of 1971. This is an extract from the original paperwork, and it shows that it has to be gold. It has to be 11/12 fine gold, or 22 karat, 916.66 of millesimal fineness. And so that's really, really important. Otherwise, it's not called a sovereign. So that's going to be an interesting follow-up about how they're making a silver sovereign. And a lot of you might think, well, that's not going to be a sovereign. Well, it is not. The word sovereign is not anything in relation to that particular coin. It's just that particular denomination of coin that comes out. A silver sovereign is not a sovereign. It is just a sovereign made of silver, and you can call it a silver sovereign. I could make a hand-poured piece of silver and stamp St. George and the Dragon on it and call it a hand-poured silver sovereign, and I wouldn't have any legal problems at all. That word is not trademarked in any shape or form. So that was very interesting. So a lot of people were going, well, they can't because of the Coin Act. And then, well, laws change all the time, so maybe they can. But then, good news, everyone. We got a follow-up statement. Completely unasked for by me. I just woke up on, when was it, Tuesday morning, and had this sitting in my inbox from the press officer to say they wanted to put a further bit of clarification out there to really hammer home that this is not something that they are currently planning for. And I hope that they won't plan for it in the long term either, because the history and tradition of something like the sovereign is very, very important. And we see the beauty of the history of these gold sovereigns shining through. And whilst some people don't necessarily like modern proof coins and the modern market for coins, you've got to kind of wonder where the world will be in 200 years. And will people be looking back at the coins that we had custodian over in our generation, in our period, in our small slice of human history, in our small slice of civilization, and what we did with them and the changes that we made? Coins change over time. I get that. And, you know, purity and fineness is important for some people. But in my humble opinion, there is something that is more important than anything like that, and that's just deference to where we've come from. It's the only way that we can learn about where we might go as a society, as a civilization, and I think it's really important. So that person's comment on the forum about being custodians of history, of coinage, is just the nail on the head, is perfect, and I can't say anything more than that, really. So this is, I think, put to bed now for certainly the foreseeable future. There's good news here. There are no plans to divert from this. Fantastic, good stuff. Just be careful, I guess, is my follow-up message. You know, there are plenty of examples of fake news out there, whether it be the world of coins or elsewise, and it's super important to just try and get your knowledge from a reputable source. I will always try and fact check things like this where I can in proper ways. As the amateur journalist that I am, I've realized over the last few years that I have more of a journalistic responsibility than I perhaps did when I was starting out in YouTube, and I could just make different video topics talking about different things. It is important, and I think it's my responsibility. Some people don't care about it, and they just want to get clicks, and there's no doubt that fake news and you know, fear-mongering and things like this will get more views. I'm just sharing what I can find out and what I know and what I've researched, and I think that's really important. That's all we can really ask for in this world. So hopefully that puts a lot of people's fears to bed about this. It is going to be an interesting release, I think, for this particular 2025 Sovereign collection. I'm predicting it will actually sell out very quickly. I think that the Shield Sovereign is very beautiful. It's certainly something I would like to have in my collection. I'm just working up whether or not I can stomach the idea of buying from the Raw Mint again. I might just sort of be looking at this as I'm buying the coin, I'm not buying the Raw Mint, but the two are intermingled, as we know. The last Rose Gold Sovereign, is that going to be something that's really popular in the future? I don't know. Perhaps if people, I mean, there are people who like the Rose Gold. I'm not necessarily one of them, but it could be a collector's coin in the future. The Silver Sovereign can jog on as far as I'm concerned. That's just a gimmick, and that's the start of the slippery slope, I think, and that's one of the reasons why a lot of people took this sort of potential news story that they would be changing the Sovereign to 999 gold as possible, because a 999 fine silver Sovereign is really, in my opinion, a complete sellout of the branding, of the history and tradition of the Sovereign. It's sort of another great analogy would be that the Raw Mint's a bit of a sinking ship at the moment. The whole coin industry is changing. We're not in the highs of the post-COVID craziness. We're not in the period of history where there would be 15,000 people queuing for every release of the Raw Mint because they know they can flip it tomorrow for twice the price or more. We're not in that world anymore, and people are not buying as many coins from the Raw Mint and other big mints around the world. And the Raw Mint still wants to try and cling on to whatever power and bonuses that they can garner for the chief exec and the executive team. And I think they're throwing the best life raft they have, which is the Sovereign, overboard. You know, it's not a good look in my opinion. I think it's just flagrant, a masterclass in basically just selling out in your brand, is my opinion. But that's my opinion, you know, and some people might feel differently. I think if you really want to have a Silver Sovereign in your collection, fine, go ahead and buy it, but you have to go in with your eyes wide open that you'll be burning your money. But anyway, enough on that for now. That's it from me. Thank you all for watching, especially to my backyard bullion ramblers. I would love to give you a serial number of something to quote to be a Cool Kids Club member, but unfortunately I don't have one. So instead, you're just going to have to quote me the 916.66% purity that apparently these sovereigns are made of. I think that percentage point should be changed to the millesimal, what is it? What do they call? Millesimal fineness here of 916.66. Another little bit of communications error there. So a 916.66% gold sovereign. Yes, please. I'll have those all day long, because that means my sovereigns are worth nearly 9 times as much as they were before. But anyway, that's it from me. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you on the next video. And as always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.